Global Mafia, what's the deal what we own? Today, I got another compilation of non-biased, non-mainstream news, content, and videos that's gonna blow your mind. We're gonna go down these rabbit holes, get to these theories. We're gonna see what's faction, what's fictional. One person will never know everything, but as a collective, we can figure it all out. Appreciate all the new people joining the Global Mafia. We're going to take over all of this information together, disassociate from that indoctrination the system tried to give us, and get to the truth. Let's get to it.
Global TV subscribe.
I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education. Welcome.
So we can all agree that it would be pretty weird if a humanoid robot at the White House introduced itself as herself and spoke in a female voice, LARPing as a human, right? Well, check this out, because you can't really make it up. And this is what every country in the world is headed towards, that they are trying to impose on us a new technological model of society, where humanoid robots are normalized and a part of our daily lives, if you accept that as your reality. Didn't we learn anything from the Terminator?
Thank you, First Lady Melania Trump, for inviting me to the White House. It is an honor to be at Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition inaugural meeting. I'm Figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America. I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education. Welcome.
Double speak.
Bienvenido. Bienvenue. Bem-vindo. Ahlan wa sahlan. Chagatam.
Can we just acknowledge for a moment how utterly dystopian it would be if this freaking thing, and many of them, become the teachers of schools? Because that's what this whole thing was, a part of this was about, is getting robots to teach students. It was underfund teachers, make the education system crumble, then get them all off of chalkboards and notebooks and get them onto iPads and computers. And now it's going to be this. I can say I'm more into Waldorf and homeschooling and unschooling than anything to do with this.
I think it's safe to say that the future got here a little faster than we all thought. But what is the purpose of that robot right there? Definitely not going to be in every class in every public school across America.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
how about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible. Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha. And Bella will have all organic pop cup.
organic?
Yes, everything organic.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
3, 7. Oh, Hannah, you good? 4, 3, 2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs, because they are the ones who mattered most.
I don't think Drewski took it too far because comedy has no boundaries. Let's start there. Before I'm anything else, I'm a Christian. Drewski's last most popular skit was making a mockery of the black church and just hyperbolically talking about so many things that the black church does, whether it be aggressively trying to ask for funds, whether it be the pastors wearing the outlandish outfits, whether it be the pastors hoarding money. He does not have boundaries of his comedy because comedy to a large degree does not have boundaries. Pause for a moment and establish what a lot of people might be thinking, which is the like, well, what if a white person did this? What if a white person did blackface? Let's not overlook the cultural context, right? Blackface, 1820s, based off of a character named Jim Crow, which is where Jim Crow laws came from. Jim Crow was a primary character in blackface at minstrel shows that was based off portraying a lazy, uneducated black man that was content in servitude, which is why blackface is such a damaging and integral thing in society. Let's not try to draw false equivalency between blackface and quite literally any other portrayal of another human being, because in comedy, we have always portrayed other human beings. Blackface has a cultural significance, a historical context, and a slavery-based context that transcends all of this that we are discussing. In Sadrewski, I didn't actually think it was that funny. I just thought it was genius. I did say, yo, that's hilarious. But there wasn't a point where I was like actually belly laughing. I just thought it was creatively genius. It's the same thing with the pastor skit. Pastor skit, I didn't laugh until the end.
Obviously, this made the TPS USA, the conservatives, perturbed, extremely mad. They're outraged. Just as mad as they were at the pastors. This is comedy. Take it with satire, a grain of salt. Enjoy the entertainment. And that was hysterical. And Erica Kirk just got the mirror put in front of her face. He never said her name, but we all know who he was portraying. Was he on point or did he go too far?
See all week. Yes, it is just a robot falling down, but watch carefully what it does before it falls, because that's crucial. This clip is from a Tesla event where they were showing off their Optimus robot, which Elon Musk says will be the biggest product of any kind ever. And he insists these are operating 100% on AI. They are not being operated by humans. Had the AI ready, they puppeted the robots like this. A human would have a VR headset on and then a thing on their hands that would operate the robot's limbs. Musk has been insisting that they can now operate entirely on their own. And when people ask, is this thing really operating off of AI or is it still being operated by a human? Musk always says, no, it's AI, not teleoperated. Not, he says, being remotely operated by somebody wearing a VR headset with controllers on their hands. It would be a huge deal if they were. A big part of why Tesla as a company is worth $1.4 trillion is because they claim this robot can do everything. They're going to fill the planet with these things. They can do any job. They can be your personal assistant. So now, knowing how these things are remotely operated when they are being remotely operated, it kind of looks like this robot, which is at a Miami event and was serving drinks to the guests, reached up and took off a VR headset. Like this was the human operator. It works. Its hands mimic what the operator's hands are doing. And this has come up before. A year ago, they hosted another event, and they had these robots walking out among the guests. But when their movements and their voices became too distinctly human, they eventually acknowledged that some of it was human operated. And Tesla as a company works very, very hard to obscure the line between what is AI and what is not. And this is something that seems to be just accepted in that industry. A billion-dollar startup that sells an AI note-taking service recently admitted that they got their start by just lying to companies. They would sell companies their AI note-taker, and then two guys would just manually do it. And they just openly brag about this. Like, tricking people seems to be at the core of this business model at every step. So as for what this thing can actually do, nobody knows.
That humanoid robot, 105%. Took his headset off and said, I'm going on a smoke break.
It was posted at 5:28 p.m. and right now as I'm making this video, it is 6:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 23rd, 2026. And now we have AGI. And for those of you who are not sure what that is, it's artificial general intelligence. Artificial general intelligence means that AI can now do anything that a human can do at about the same level. What they're doing, what AI is doing is it's hiring human beings to go out and perform tasks that they can't do because AI doesn't have a body. But what's interesting is that the bodies that they need are currently being produced. In this article from October 23rd of 2025, Elon Musk was quoted saying, "I don't feel comfortable building that robot army unless I see pictures like this." Like, this is what's going on over in China. They have this kind of stuff. I mean, and I'm sure we have stuff over here in America as well. But I think it's fascinating to see where we're going. We're in 2026 right now. We're talking about this kind of stuff, and this seems so science fiction that it's not even funny. But yet, here we are. And so my question that I am just pondering in my own mind is, now that we have artificial general intelligence, how long until we have artificial super intelligence? And then how long until we insert that intelligence into a body and then they just start walking around like it's just another day in the park? And I think they've already had AGI. I think they've already had ASI. I think they've already had that for, at least a decade or two, because I think, we're pretty far behind of what the government has. And so this is just the writing on the wall as to what is coming.
It's no secret that the government, DARPA, and Raytheon are 20 years advanced at least in technology. What's the end goal with all of these robots? Once these artificial intelligences start exponentially regrowing themselves and making themselves smarter and upgrading themselves daily, then they will outgrow the need for the human being. And then what?
Elon Musk asked Jeffrey Epstein when the wildest party on his island was going to be. That was on November 25th, 2012, and a month later on Christmas, Elon Musk is emailing again saying, "Do you have any parties?" He says he really wants to let loose, and a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what he wants. And Jeffrey Epstein is going to send a helicopter to come get him. Elon Musk is emailing again saying, "Do you have any parties?" He says he really wants to let loose, and a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what he wants. And Jeffrey Epstein is going to send a helicopter to come get him. It is Christmas morning, and he is asking a offender who has already been prosecuted for soliciting when the wildest party is going to be on his private island. A couple months later, Jeffrey Epstein and multiple assistants all went to SpaceX for a visit and a lunch with Elon. And you can read in the emails about Jeffrey bringing multiple young assistants with him to SpaceX. Later that same year in 2013, Christmas comes around again, and Elon Musk is emailing about another holiday visit. Here at the bottom, it says, "Elon Musk, we will be in the St. Bart's area. Is there a good time to visit?" Jeffrey Epstein says, "Always space for you." Elon Musk sends 2 emails, and I guess didn't get a response, because then Jeffrey Epstein's assistant up here, Leslie Groff, had to remind Jeffrey to respond. So he kind of got a little bit ghosted by he really wanted to hang out with. So it seems like he spent multiple Christmases or multiple holiday visits at Jeffrey Epstein's island.
So I'm non-biased. I got to give correct information. It was never confirmed that he actually put his feet in the soil on that island, but obviously he wanted to extremely bad. Anybody dealing with him after he was a convicted PDF file, no excuses. 0.
1888 news article out of St. Louis about the mound builders. And don't you think it's a little funny that we're still calling them the mound builders well over 100 years later after this article? It almost seems like they don't want us to know their real name. And once you start to lay out all the puzzle pieces just within this article, you start to understand why their real name has not been given to. One of those puzzle pieces is Piazza, which means the bird that devours men. And this mythical creature was everywhere. It was on cliffs up and down the Mississippi Valley. Marquette described it with deer-like horns, red eyes, beard like a tiger, and a long tail. This dragon-like monster wasn't just found in the Mississippi Valley. It was also in the Yucatan on its sculptured walls. Even in Aryan mythology, they find this creature. But then, It doesn't talk about mythology anymore. It talks about what's being found in North America at this time. It is, of course, well known that the fossil remains of gigantic creatures of the flying reptile order have been found in Nebraska, Colorado, Dakota, and Wyoming, which far surpass the fabled dragons in proportions. Some of them were over 100 feet long. Now, that gentleman, he named out 4 states that was found in, but he left out one, which is Montana, because this miner in the Montana mountains found something very, very similar. He had discovered the petrified skeleton of an enormous reptile, perfect in every detail from head to tail. The bones of the head showed plainly that the monster was well equipped for aggressive warfare. Curved fangs hinged to the upper jaw, 18 inches long, lay in place in what was once a huge mouth, which could open easily 4 feet. The monster lay in nearly a straight line, and Mr. Hardy found upon pacing it off that it measured upwards of 120 feet. About 50 feet from the head lay a number of bones that appeared to belong to the skeleton, in which Mr. Hardy concluded were the wings. Judge Watson, who has read much on prehistoric mammals and fossils, states that this is probably the only perfect specimen of a dragon in existence. So how many old articles, symbols, depictions do we need to admit this place was and still is far more mythical than we could ever imagine?
In my humble observations, there is nothing mythical about dragons. They're 100% real, just like they are in the Asian culture. With that being said, if you look at the encyclopedia around 1858, it gets swapped from dragons, and then they say they're endangered species inside the encyclopedia. That word gets swapped with dinosaurs, and dragons become mythical. Do your own research, entertainment purposes only.
1608, the coastal cities of Genoa and Nice experienced a terrifying mass sighting documented in European chronicles. Large, flying, luminous discs hovered over the Mediterranean Sea, boiling the water beneath them. Witnesses reported that the crafts opened and strange humanoid figures with glowing eyes and scaly amphibious suits plunged into the ocean. The Genoese artillery fired 800 cannonballs at the objects, which simply bounced off their hulls. The crafts eventually shot into the sky at incredible speed. Ufologists cite this as absolute historical proof of transmedium USOs, unidentified submerged objects operating centuries ago.
Of these cryptids, these mythical creatures, these random sightings that we see in modern times are these creatures that once lived side by side with the rest of humanity. They were just pushed out. They were just conquered, just like we do every other native tribe that has lands that we want. But before that, they were in some way, shape, or form a part of human society. Society that I don't think was solely built just by us humans. I believe there was a lot of creatures that shared this realm with us. That's why a lot of the flags, even today, talk about Scotland, Wales and stuff, their flags have the dragons on them. Griffins featured on many flags. Dragons featured on the Russian flag. It's all there, not because it was some myth or fairy tale. It's all there because it was what they seen.
As we see, always facts are truly stranger than fiction. We're going to keep going down these rabbit holes, figuring out the true ideology, what's really going on with the history. We're going to see what's really going on with the true ancient past, not the history, the set of lies that was agreed upon. Remember, one person doesn't know everything, but as a collective, we're going to figure it all out. Let's keep kicking back, watching these compilations. And I'm going to drop another one for you tomorrow. Let me know any narrative you want to dive deeper into, any theory I need to learn, and we're going to keep this knowledge going. Cash, capital K, $ for this.
Had 3-car garage in my fortress. My swag is drippin', make these whores sick. This shit come effortless. Why you sweating, hoes tryna force it? This new Louis drip from this season. I pull up yoking, serving, doing hella shit in the latest Beamer. Plenty garbage bags full of LCGs. Nigga, please, I've been jumping flights since 2013. Moving boxes, making plays, I gotta fill these orders. Load them 18-wheelers up, then get them cross the border. Matter of fact, here go my runner right now. I got your ticket, take this bag, I'ma drop you off and then you out. We out.